One of the oldest conspiracy theories surrounding Taylor is that she is the clone of Zena LaVey, the daughter of Anton LaVey, founder of the Church of Satan.
Welcome back, family. Before the video starts, I just want to thank all my channel members for the support. As y'all also know, if you guys want to pre-order my shirt, click the link that's going to pop up.
Sorry if you're watching this video at night, because I already know it probably freaked you out a little bit.
Yeah,
this is an older video that appears to be making its rounds yet again. It shows a man in the darkness. He can be seen very aggressively approaching this person next to the camera. And back in the day, people used to think this was a man with rabies, but I'm still not convinced. The reason I think this is more than likely a staged video and not a guy with rabies is because there are two different types of rabies. You have furious rabies and dumb rabies. Furious rabies outside of humans and in other animals usually results in that animal going out of its way to bite and attack different things around it. Whereas humans don't really get that drive to attack and bite. Instead, they act very erratically. They might be a little bit aggressive, but they're not going to just approach you like the guy in this video acting like a zombie from World War Z. A few of the other prevalent symptoms aren't present in this guy either, like the foaming mouth, for example. So yeah, in my opinion, this video is fake, or at the very least, doesn't show a rabies victim. Even so, I wouldn't want to be anywhere around where this took place, so take that as you will.
Tonight, 8 people feared dead after a massive military bomber crashed in the Mojave Desert outside Los Angeles. Thick black smoke seen billowing into the air for miles after military officials say the B-52 Stratofortress went down shortly after takeoff from Edwards Air Force Base around 11:20 this morning. The base says emergency crews immediately responded to the scene.
Edwards has something going on.
You can see here the charred landscape where the crash happened. The 8-engine B-52 is typically crewed by 5 people. It's a legendary part of the military's fleet used for decades from Vietnam to the current war in the Middle East. The enormous aircraft can fly as high as 50,000 feet while carrying 70,000 pounds of weapons.
Aviation experts we've spoken to say that the fact that this plane took off or crashed so quickly after takeoff without getting very high makes them believe this could have been a flight control malfunction. But again, the investigation continues. Officials have not given any cause at this time.
Ariana Grande announcing the most obvious split of all time, because I called this very early. Ariana Grande has an issue. Her issue is daddy issues, and the sport for her is in breaking up people's marriages. That's it. As soon as she breaks up the marriage, she's not interested in you anymore. It was like wicked, really, like the most wicked thing that happened when they made the movie was this guy who's a bit unfortunate looking, Ethan Slater, was married to his high school sweetheart. They just had their first baby. Ariana went to dinner with him and his baby, held the infant, and then took the man. But of course, like I said, after she breaks up the relationship, then she kind of just is not interested. So she's on the hunt. Ladies, hide your kids, hide your wife, hide your kids, hide your husband. She will be looking to enter in another relationship with a married man because she is trying to, which she doesn't realize she's trying to do, is her father left her mother, or they separated when they were young. She was raised by her mother, and she wants to recreate the injury of her own childhood. She grew up without a dad. She wants other people to grow up without fathers. When she sees a productive relationship, somebody having their first kid, the glow of that for her is what she's trying to extract. And then she feels like she sort of gets to revenge her father every time she does this over and over again. And she's done it a lot of times. In 2011, she was dating Graham Phillips, but he was at the time dating Allie Trim, who was also a co-star in the musical where Graham met Ariana. That relationship broke up. She cheated on Jai Brooks twice, once with Mac Miller. We all know the Big Sean story. That was a pretty big one. He was engaged to Naya Rivera. Naya Rivera has since passed on, but not before writing a book about how she walked in to her house with the person that she was going to marry, Big Sean, and found him sitting with Ariana Grande. Again, right before the wedding bells. She's just got to rip that head off. It's got to be hers, and she doesn't want it for a long time. She got with Mac Miller. He was also with his high school sweetheart of nearly 10 years until Ariana came along and said, "That's a nice relationship you have. What if I broke it apart?" She herself was married to Dalton Gomez when she stumbled upon, I forgot Pete Davidson. Yeah, Pete Davidson was another one, which she disputes, but he was in a 2-year relationship and then suddenly got with Ariana. Very quick timeline there. It's like that's the interest for her. She's trying to mend her daddy issues in the most toxic and wicked way possible. But you are at another level of wicked to hold an infant while you're taking somebody's husband and breaking up a family. So people have noticed that she looks sick. She is obviously physically sick, but the mental illness has been going on for a very long time. The physical illness is what follows the mental ailment. Yeah, hide your kids, hide your wife, hide your husband, hide your wife.
Hide your kids, hide your wife, and hide your husband.
I feel like you should blame her, because at the end of the day, it is a pattern. Like, she only specifically does this to men that are already in relationships. But at the same time, she's not the one that's devoted to that partner. You know what I'm saying? Like, the man is the one that's supposed to be like, listen, like, I have a wife. I don't really want to be in anything with you. But they also break their part of the rules as well. So like, it's both parties that took play in the action. But yeah, there's definitely patterns with Ariana Grande that's very weird.
That's right, Grover. This is the fiction section. Fiction means it's a made-up story. Fiction means it's a made-up story.
But why the big secret? People are smart. They can handle it.
The person is smart. People are dumb, panicky, dangerous animals, and you know it. 1,500 years ago, everybody knew the Earth was the center of the universe. 500 years ago, everybody knew the Earth was flat. And 15 minutes ago, you knew that people were alone on this planet.
Now, first of all, lad, we've got to get all these medieval ideas out of your head. Clear the way for new ideas. Knowledge of man's fabulous discoveries in the centuries ahead. Now, that'll be a great advantage, boy.
Advantage indeed. If the boy goes about saying the world is round, they'll take him for a lunatic.
Yep.
The world is round? Yes, that's right. And it also goes around.
Ibo, what is this?
This is the Earth.
But why is it round?
Well, because the Earth is round.
That TikTok goes so deep you don't even understand. 15,000 years ago, everyone believed the Earth was flat and was the center of the universe. They believe that to their core. If you try to change their mind, you specifically, if you try to do that, they would have killed you. They would have killed you. Promise you, they would have killed you. It's just recently that we figured out the Earth is round, and who knows, like, even that might be wrong.
Don't ever put anything in a text message. At the CIA on our very first day, they told us not to ever say or do anything that we would be ashamed to see on the front page of the Washington Post. I took that seriously. The truth of the matter is, because of technology the way it is today, our whole lives are out there potentially for someone to see, for someone to use against us. So be careful what you say, be careful what you write, even in jest, because it can be taken out of context to target you.
100%, dude. Social media, it's so easy to dig up dirt. If you did something illegal today, the FBI could know it by yesterday before you even did it. They can go through all your calls, all your text messages, even the ones that you delete. It doesn't even matter.
If I ever shave my face again, you'll know.
Lip sync.
It's not our world.
None of this is real?
Nope.
So you're just passing
We don't
through.
matter. We don't matter.
Then I watched everybody, like, talking 1,000 miles an hour up there, receiving their awards, and I was like, I'm dead.
This is really freaking me out. I'm in my grocery store and my girlfriend just told me about this conspiracy theory, and it's happening in my grocery store right now.
Well, if it's a conspiracy theory, there's no chance it could be true.
I'm gonna show you like regular price tags. Okay, look.
Oh, is she going to show the digital price tags with cameras that change price when you look at them?
Paper, regular price tags. This is how much everything is. And then you come over here and look at these ones.
Yeah. And you see the little black dot in the upper right corner? It's a camera. So they know how much you can afford. They know everything about you so that they can squeeze every little penny out of you. Is that what she's about to say? I could be crazy, but let's find out.
That's a camera right there.
Wouldn't it be crazy if there was like a sticker over top of it? That would like obstruct the view. Nobody should do that. You probably should not try to obstruct the view of those cameras. I really advocate against that.
So they're replacing all of the paper ones with those digital ones that they can change automatically, but they have a camera. And so my girlfriend was telling me that they use the camera to use facial recognition, and they're gonna link you to like your Amazon account, they're gonna link you to everything online. Like,
they'll know how much your net worth is, they'll understand how much you can afford to pay.
Everything that you have, and they're going to change the price of your groceries according to who you are, that they recognize by your face, by your Amazon, by your Facebook, by everything. So if they see your spending habits and that you're spending more, your groceries are going to be more expensive.
You sick of it yet? You sick of being abused by the system where you're treated as nothing more than just cattle?
Do y'all really believe that though, that they have cameras that check your face and potentially move the prices of groceries based off of your net worth? I feel like that would be really sketchy. I feel like we would have already figured out that they're doing that for real. Like if I went to the store and I'm like, hey, yeah, I got this water for like $2. And then my homie was like, what? I literally got that yesterday for like $1. I'd be like, what? I'm like, how? You know what I'm saying? And then like we'd come back and just keep testing. And I feel like a lot of people would run into this coincidence and then they would probably make videos and stuff about it. Maybe that's what's going on. Maybe that's a conspiracy right there. Maybe that's exactly how it started.
They don't even hide it anymore.
The season premiere of SNL with Ice Spice.
Ooh, look at us, 3 Gen Z icons.
Aren't you like 40?
No,
Wow.
no. Long time ago, I met this guy and made a deal where I get to stay 25 years old for forever.
What guy?
Tall fella, horns, red fur, I don't know, little hooves.
Keen, that's the devil, dude.
What? Nah, I thought it was like a Times Square Elmo or something.
What?
No, there's not.
We heard a ticking clock.
Don't go nowhere. Stay right here.
Guys, I just got home from school and I see this like hole in my wall, and like next door I have a really creepy neighbor. Let's take a look. What the fuck? Oh my—
That was a fake reaction, chat. What?
So we think she died here, obviously, because this is where the hell the dance is. And what was that noise?
Did you see it?
Did you hear it?
Help!
What?
Did you see it?
We've seen this in one of our last videos. Is that a frequency? Bro, leave your phone at home so the feds don't track you. The CIA. Yep, that's how they get you. That's how they get you. Wow. And we've also seen that they have like wall hack weapons where they can literally see through walls. Like the government has so much technology that we have no idea about. We got this Bible from a thrift shop for free and this happened. Okay, let's see it. What happened?
I mean, is this even a Bible?
It looks like a Bible. A cheaply made Bible.
What the fuck? Bitch, what if we just explode?
What? What is that?
If you ever go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, when everything is completely silent and dark, pay close attention. It might not be a coincidence that you woke up. When you leave your room, do not stop in the doorway. Go directly to the bathroom. If you think you see movement in the corner of your eye, keep walking. Do not turn around to check. Most people do, and most people realize later that whatever they saw wasn't there a second time. Once you're inside, close the door. Do not spend too much time looking into the mirror. It could show things. At some point, the house may feel quieter than before. Listen carefully. You should be able to hear something. The air conditioner, a distant car, the pipes inside the walls, anything. If you can't hear a single sound, do not leave the bathroom right away. Wait a few seconds, then open the door slowly. When you step back into the hallway, keep your eyes forward. Do not look into rooms you weren't planning to enter, and do not check the end of the hallway. Even if it feels like someone is standing there, return to your room. Get back into bed and sleep, because if something wanted your attention, the bathroom was never the reason you woke up. It was just the reason it got you out of bed.
Guys, there was just a massive celebration across New York City after the Knicks won the championship, and it ended with the city getting completely trashed.
Wow.
So the Knicks just beat the Spurs in Game 5 to finally win it all, and the second that buzzer went off last night, the entire city poured into the streets. In Times Square, people were setting school buses on fire, swinging bats at them and jumping on them, and those were the exact same buses that the city has been using as World Cup shuttles. There were thousands of people out in the streets all night long. They wrecked 5 different NYPD cars on 6th Avenue, and 10 officers actually got hurt. One of them got punched in the face, and another hit with a glass bottle. A handful of people also got attacked in the crowds, and a 17-year-old ended up in the hospital from it all. By this morning, the NYPD has arrested 63 people, from everything from assault on officers to carrying weapons, criminal mischief, and resisting arrest. Literally all of this was just from people celebrating on their own. It was unplanned. The official parade through the city isn't even happening until Thursday. So if that was just an unplanned celebration, Thursday's actual parade might be a little bit crazy.
Yeah, bro, NYC's got to be one of the most comical places on earth, because why does you winning a basketball game allow you to destroy the city? Come on, New York. I was down there when they won the finals. It was absolutely insane.
What's a conspiracy theory you 100% know is true?
Root canals. There's this YouTube video, which before was a documentary on Netflix before it got pulled after 2 weeks, known as The Root Cause. The Root Cause discusses the big psyop by dental industry and by big pharma to fuck people's health up through root canals. You can't even watch it in the United States. You have to turn on a VPN because it's banned by the American Dental Association, which is in bed with big pharma. And I can say that because dentists can't say it because they'll lose their license, but I can say it because I don't have a license. I had a root canal recently removed, and once they did the DNA biopsy on the tooth, they found 20 different types of parasites growing and living inside of my jaw. So stay away from fluoride, and now stay away from root canals.
One of the oldest conspiracy theories surrounding Taylor is that she is the clone of Zena LaVey, the daughter of Anton LaVey, founder of the Church of Satan. This theory hinges on the striking resemblance between Taylor and Zena in her younger years. Believers suggest that the Illuminati cloned Zena to create Taylor, aiming to use her influence to subtly promote satanic imagery through pop music. This theory has gained traction online, with numerous side-by-side photo comparisons fueling the speculation.
When Zena LaVey was younger, they did look similar, and Zena LaVey was into music as well. I think they're both alive right now, but I think that doesn't matter if they're clones.
Taylor's well-known affinity for the number 13 has sparked theories that it holds deeper occult significance. However, some conspiracy enthusiasts argue that the number is associated with the Illuminati or other secret societies. They point to her frequent Easter eggs and music videos as evidence of occult messaging or her involvement in the dark arts.
I love those too, where it's like, I watched the music video for Look What You Made Me Do, and I saw this in it, and I'm like, go on TikTok, find a Swiftie. 2 minutes later, you're going to understand that's actually from like 3 albums ago. It does not have to do with the devil. It's like an internal reference.
In one of Oliver Tree's last interviews before the helicopter crash, he described where he wants his wealth to go after he passes away. And it might not be what you expect. He said that he doesn't want his family to benefit from his wealth because he feels that the money doesn't even belong to him.
My will is set up that when I pass, my family, no one's going to get a penny. I'll get my kids through college. That's the agreement, but they're not going to be a silver spoon. They're taken care of because my dad worked on some stuff in the 2000s.
But rather, he wanted to redistribute his wealth back into the arts through his foundation that he set up.
When I die, all the money's going to go back to artists. So I've set up a foundation. It's called Dr. Oliver Tree's Art Grants for Baby Geniuses. And it's set up so that basically the interest generated from my music will take mostly that, but there's also room for other money, because when I die, my art will continue to have residuals and probably be worth more than it is now.
He also said that it's set up in a way that it can help fund other artists in their work, and that he hopes the foundation could last for at least 100 years. So now, Oliver Tree's tragic passing is potentially turned into one of the most wholesome legacies one could leave behind.
Yeah, I mean, I see what he did there by not leaving the wealth to his kids. Like, he didn't want his kids to grow up kind of like, oh, well, I have everything, so I'm not gonna really value anything, you know what I'm saying? Like, he kind of wanted them to also work for their life and work to get to where they want to go and have their own goals and stuff. So I completely understand that.
You know that guy Post Malone? Do you know he had a stalker who believed spirit animals were telling her to track him down? So the story starts with this woman. Her name is Cherish, and Cherish is about 31 when all this begins, and she's living in Salt Lake City, Utah. And Cherish has a lot of problems. She appears to be dealing with a lot of mental health issues. Best info I can find says that she's also homeless, so she's dealing with that too. But one day in 2025, something wild happens to her. I guess she's just chilling wherever, and she's approached by what she believes to be a spirit animal. And this spirit animal talks to her and tells her something about having an immediate, predefined, romantic and spiritual relationship with the musical artist Post Malone. You know, Post Malone, the guy that sings Sunflower and White Iverson and probably other stuff, I don't know. Regardless, she hears this and she starts believing that she and Post Malone have some sort of connection. Now, Post Malone is this huge star, known all over the world. So it's not like she has his number and can just call him up and be like, my spirit animals are telling us to be together. So Cherish does the only thing that she can do. She somehow figures out his home address, which happens to be several miles away from her in Cottonwood Heights.
Wow.
Then she somehow
That's
gets
convenient.
from where she's at to his private residence. And there, he's a wealthy guy, so he has a huge gate in front of his place that you have to enter through, so strangers like her can't just walk right in. But Cherish, she isn't gonna let some gate stop her. She waits outside of it until a worker or someone leaves, and then she walks right in before the gate closes. And it doesn't take long for staff members working on the property to notice her. And at least one of them approaches her and says, hey, you need to get the f*** out of here. And Cherish is like, nah. And then she walks further up toward the main house and she sits on a bench in front of it and she just chills there and she refuses to leave. So they call the police. And soon police show up and bam, they arrest her. Now, she does go to jail, but trespassing, it's only a misdemeanor. So pretty quickly, she gets out. Now, this was obviously a setback for her. But Cherish, she isn't gonna give up. Because when a spirit animal tells you that Post Malone is gonna be your man, damn it, Post Malone is gonna be your man. So she comes up with another plan. Miles away from Salt Lake City is Midvale. And in Midvale, I guess there is a Raising Cane's restaurant, and it's Post Malone themed. Like, it's painted all pink, and it has some of his memorabilia on the walls. And I guess Cherish thinks that going there will bring her closer to him, or maybe she thinks that he is actually gonna be there. I don't know. Either way, she's going there. So she drinks a lot of alcohol and gets super drunk, and she shows up to this Raising Cane's. Now, I don't know what she does there specifically, but somehow her drunk ass starts causing a disturbance in the dining area. And the manager's gotta like come over and tell her, you need to leave. But Cherish isn't about to leave. So they call the police on her. And bam, she gets arrested again. And she goes to jail again, but like last time, public intoxication is only a misdemeanor, so she gets out. But here's the complicated thing about all this. Cherish isn't mentally well from what I can gather, that's just my opinion. So she isn't learning anything from these arrests. In fact, it seems like the arrests aren't making her feel less inclined to be with Post Malone at all. They seem to make her want to try even harder. Not only that, but apparently her spirit animals are telling her that being with him is what she is meant to do. So, days after being arrested for being on Post Malone's property, she finds a way to go back to his place again, and she gets past the gate. And Post Malone's staff sees her again, and they call the police on her again, and police show up again. But this time, when they talk to her, she tries to explain herself, and she tells them that she really does need to be here because her spirit animal or whatever is telling her that she needs to be with Post Malone. Of course, the police, they aren't buying any of this. They probably see all kinds of crazy stuff like this all the time. So they're like, what the f***, a spirit animal? And one of the officers even tries to negotiate a deal with her so that she'll leave and never come back. But Cherish, I mean, you already know, she obviously doesn't want to leave. So one of the officers makes her a deal. I guess Cherish wants this officer to read some Bible verse to her. So the officer reads this Bible verse to her, and in exchange, Cherish promises she'll never come back. Regardless, she ends up getting arrested. And
That's
days
crazy.
later, she's out of jail again, and she decides it's time to give it yet another shot. So she walks barefoot, from where she's at in Salt Lake
Another
City
tribe,
all the way over to Post Malone's place, which is almost a 5-hour walk. This woman walked barefoot for 5 hours. Anyway, so she gets to his place and she gets on the property again, and the staff or someone spots her and they call the police, and police show up for the 100th time. And coincidentally, the same officer who was there last time, the same one who read the Bible verse to her, is assigned to deal with her.
We talked about this last week. You didn't get called here. You promised me you weren't going to come back. We're not doing this again. Okay. I mean, I didn't take your promise for much, but you promised me that you weren't going to come back. Why? You didn't promise. Yeah, you did. You told me if I read you a Bible verse, which I did, that you would not come back. Yeah, it happened. I took you to jail last night.
And the funny thing is this officer even starts giving her shit about what her spirit animal is supposedly telling her.
What did we tell you? Your spirit was wrong. You have a crappy spirit. No, I don't have a You do, because your spirit keeps leading you right here. We end up in the same spot. We told you very clearly. I don't care if you're a child of God.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh my
Clearly
God.
her spirit animal sucks. But anyway, bam, she gets arrested again. Now, Post Malone, he knows all about this woman and what she's doing and what's been going on. And at this point, he does the right thing, the smart thing, and he goes and he gets a protective order against her. But see, a protective order isn't going to stop Cherish. No. She goes back to Post's place again and again and again. And she's caught there 12 different times. And she gets arrested 5 of those times. But whatever, she keeps going. A few months later, it's 3 a.m. and she's back there once again, and she's hiding out in his bushes outside the gate because she's gonna try to catch him as he's leaving. Well, it works. Eventually, he gets in his car because he's gonna leave. And Post Malone is a wealthy guy, so he has a driver. And so this driver is actually the one driving, and as he's exiting, suddenly Cherish jumps out of the bushes to stop the car, and skirt, the driver swerves and he barely misses her. And so one of them, either Post Malone or the driver, calls the police. And pretty quickly, police get there, and so, bam, Cherish is arrested once again. Here's her mugshot. But see, this time, the charges are more serious, because she had violated that protective order that Post Malone got. So ultimately, she gets charged with multiple felonies. And the last news I read of this, she is still currently in jail. They didn't let her out this time. And honestly, I hope she ends up getting the help that she needs.
For some reason, that kind of reminded me of the movie Obsession, where this girl was just so obsessed with this dude she just did anything. And yeah, that lady risked everything. I mean, she did have like a mental health issue, so it made sense.
The one thing scarier than a bear with rabies.
Ho, ho, ho. What's more terrifying than a bear chasing you? That's right, a rabid bear chasing you. This video has recently gone viral. It shows a bear chasing a vehicle on the road. You'll notice the bear has quite a bit of saliva coming out of its mouth, and the caption says, "This is not a normal bear." Now, I do want to say this totally could be AI, but we're going to treat this like this is a real video. One of the many things that people were speculating here in the comment section is that this bear was rabid, which totally could be possible, but I believe it's likely not, and I'll tell you guys why. Number one, bear are not considered to be a common vector for rabies. Typically, you're looking at animals that are much smaller, that might be a little bit more social. Think about skunks, foxes, coyotes, raccoons, etc. Second, in terms of the excessive drool here, when bears are agitated, they do tend to drool quite a bit. One thing I think would lend to this bear having rabies is that it's not really afraid of vehicles. Typically, bears are going to not approach them. There are cases of bears charging vehicles, though, without rabies. Either way, if the video is real and not AI, it would be a pretty scary situation to be in, whether or not the bear did or didn't have rabies.
So RFK Jr. just suggested that COVID-19 was a bioweapon specifically engineered to spare certain ethnicities and attack others.
In fact, COVID-19, there's an argument that it is ethnically targeted. COVID-19 attacks certain races disproportionately. The races that are most immune to COVID-19 are because of the structure of the genetic structure of genetic differentials among different races of the receptors of the ACE2 receptor. COVID-19 is targeted to attack Caucasians and black people. The people who are most immune are Ashkenazi Jews and Chinese. But we don't know whether it was deliberately targeted that or not. But there are papers out there that show the racial and ethnic differential impact to that. We do know that the Chinese are spending hundreds of millions of dollars developing ethnic bioweapons, and we are developing ethnic bioweapons. That's what all those labs in the Ukraine are about. They're collecting Russian DNA, they're collecting Chinese DNA, so that we can target people by race.
So would it really be all that crazy that Jeffrey Epstein, who was literally a supremacist, he only hired people because of their ethnicity, because he believed that they were genetically superior and more intellectual, and then he started working, he literally funded the foundational institutions and science behind the mRNA technology, which just happens to be a dormant version of EBV. So when you get COVID, your long COVID symptoms are actually a reactivation of the Epstein-Barr virus, not named after him, but just a linguistic synchronicity. He decided to work on this pathogen that 95% of people in America already have. So interesting that there's just this one gene trait that people have that are way more likely to get COVID. Just think that's interesting. Anyways, this is my driver, and kind of feel like bioweapons should be illegal. We do not need to conduct experiments.
I mean, it makes sense why it would specifically, if it's made in China, target more people that are like, I guess, American. But yeah, him admitting that America and China both create like bioweapons is absolutely insane. Like the hantavirus that we've heard about, that could potentially be like a bioweapon made by a country, and we wouldn't know. They'd be like, oh well, someone on the cruise ship just like ate a shark or something, and then he got this random virus. You know what I'm saying?
He basically just jumped onto concrete. This guy definitely just found out the hard way that you should never jump off of a fast-moving boat. And I came across this video on the internet. There really was no context to it. It just starts off with this guy already about to jump in, and that's exactly what he does. This seemed to be a known thing that everyone else on the boat knew about because they were all laughing as he jumped in. And honestly, I'm pretty surprised that no one on this boat had more common sense to tell him that this was such a bad idea. And I paused this video at the perfect time for this screenshot. As you can tell, he kind of bounces off the water at first. If you pay close attention to the video, it does not look like he just jumped into water. It looks more like hitting concrete. And that's because this boat was probably traveling somewhere between 50 and 60 miles per hour. And you see, if you hit water at even 40 miles per hour, it's basically like hitting concrete. At this velocity, water quite literally does not have enough time to get out of the way. And although this just looks like fun and games, this can lead to permanent damage and even be fatal. A lot of people that do stuff like this end up shattering bones or even breaking their back. Definitely never jump off of a boat that's moving this fast.
I don't know if you guys have ever been on like a motorcycle or a jet ski while it's raining, but if you're going around 50 miles per hour while it's raining, the water droplets literally feel like stones being thrown at you, like mini stones. So just imagine someone jumping off of a boat going 50 miles per hour into water. Like, just think about that.
This has to be one of the most terrifying things a person could ever experience. This is another worst deaths imaginable. Viewer discretion is advised. It was May 25th, 2002 on China Airlines Flight 611. On the plane at that time were 206 passengers and 19 crew members, for a total of 225 souls on board. The flight took off at 3:07 p.m. with no problems whatsoever. A short time later, by 3:30 p.m., the flight had fallen off of radar. At that exact same time, communications were lost. There were no distress signals sent out. However, another plane picked up on the flight's emergency location indicator signal, and what they would find is an absolute nightmare. This is debris from Flight 611. The plane was completely destroyed. It had been broken into several different chunks. The plane was obliterated. There were pieces of the plane found 45 kilometers away from the initial wreckage, which would tell the investigators that the plane likely disintegrated up in the air. And that's exactly what happened. So I'm just going to re-show the image I showed at the very beginning of the video. It is an animation, it's not the real thing, TikTok. But this is what happened to the plane. The investigation determined that there was some obvious structural damage to the plane. The tail was the first thing to completely rip and break apart, and then that next portion there broke off and flew, and then eventually the entire thing just completely disintegrated. It blew apart, while all the people aboard are, alive when this happened. And I'm sure there were probably a lot of people who were yanked from the plane, and then everyone else just fell to, this is 35,000 feet up. I don't imagine they would have survived that kind of thing, but to those who may have still been alive, they died on impact. They determined that this plane had some really bad maintenance issues, which is pretty much always the case with these things. There was an incident that took place 22 years prior. It had suffered a tail strike, and when they did the repair on the tail, apparently it wasn't done to code or guidelines. It did enough, I guess, to sustain the plane for a couple more decades. And then they found that there was a fatigue crack in the plane. There was like one main one and then several, I guess, smaller fatigue cracks. And again, it was improperly maintained for decades. And eventually the plane just gave out because the cracks got worse and worse over time. There was a whole lot of metal fatigue. There were obviously a lot of lawsuits that came from this. The results of those lawsuits, I'm not 100% sure, but this is something that just did not need to happen. Reason 1 million why I'm terrified to fly.
Part infinity. I just got word that my album is no longer coming out. Love You Madly, Hate You Badly is officially canceled, and I'm parting ways with Atlantic Records. Behind the scenes has been nothing short of a nightmare.
I literally saw this video like 3 days ago, and I was like, music industry at it again. This is the musician that sings that song, Life Goes On and On and On and On. I'm sure you've heard it, okay? Amongst other songs, but that's like one noticeable one. And then I found out today that he died in a helicopter crash. I'm not saying this is a conspiracy or anything like that. I'm just saying that's where my mind goes. Not everything is a conspiracy, okay? I'm well aware that not everything is a conspiracy. It's just when things happen like this in the way that they happen, sometimes it fuels the conspiratorial mindset. The conspiratorial shenanigans. That's all I'm saying. Because the thing about these industries and stuff, like, there's so much money involved that if somebody wanted to do something, they could do it. And you could probably get away with it because nobody would know. It's hard to trace it back and it sounds so far-fetched. So all I'm saying is I can't prove it, nor can I disprove it. But the timing is definitely weird.
I actually met someone who worked at the CIA, and I asked him the question. I said, it wasn't me, it was a friend of mine asked it while we were there. He said, how many conspiracy theories are true? And the guy laughed and he said, obviously I can't say anything to you, but he said, but I will tell you this. Oftentimes at the agency, we would be grateful. This was a really interesting phrase. He said, we would be grateful at how crazy conspiracy theorists were because half the time they were correct, but half the time their conspiracies were so crazy that we never needed to like step in and balance. And it was this interesting concept to me where I went like, whoa. Wait, so half the things you think
are crazy.
Whoever you are in your world, half the things that you think are crazy are probably true.
Yes.
And then half the things that you think are true are probably crazy. The difficulty is we'll just never know.
These are celebrities that have died twice. First up, Nelson Mandela. So there are millions of people who believe that Nelson Mandela died in the 1980s. I'm one of those people. The thing is, he did not die until 2013. But there are people who will argue you up and down the wall that Nelson Mandela died in the 1980s. The second one is Eddie Murphy. What? So there are millions and millions of people all over the world who specifically remember Eddie Murphy died in 2013 in a snowboarding accident. And the final one is Michael Jackson. So there's no specific date with this one. Hundreds of millions of people for this one believe that Michael Jackson died somewhere in the early 2000s, maybe late 90s. And they remember it playing out exactly how it did when he actually died. So for them, it feels like they relived Michael Jackson's death 2 times.
Oh my God.
It is the craziest thing ever.
I wonder what that is then.
After this footage just dropped, it may be time to investigate Victor Wembanyama. We can't keep ignoring this. What is Wembanyama doing on this play? Look at his body. He throws a flying kick at OG Anunoby's ACL and misses it by by this much. Now, I understand that Wembanyama gets roughed around and pulled and pushed more than any player in the NBA. But we have that Anunoby clip. And then we also have this clip right here. We have him telling Plumlee to go put a hit out on Jared McCain, remember that? We have him pulling Lou Dort's hair like nobody would notice. And we obviously all know about the Jalen Brunson play, right? Should have been a flagrant. This is a lot of evidence against an individual in one singular playoff run. All these clips from one playoff run. And by the way, if you want to stay updated in the basketball world, make sure you're following. Here's the thing. If this was a compilation from one playoff run of Draymond Green, there would be outrage. And I don't understand what possible explanation you could have as to why you're doing that into another man's leg. So I really wanted to know what y'all think. Is Wembanyama a dirty player, or is he just subject to so much physicality that he kind of gets some leeway to do some crazy stuff? What do we think?
I'm being honest, chat. I feel like that game was kind of rigged because I feel like there's certain things that the Spurs did that would have definitely been called a foul any other game, but they didn't call it. And there's things that the Knicks did that shouldn't have been a foul, but it was a foul. So I think the game personally was kind of like I don't know. I feel like the refs had like a bias or something. Like maybe they bet on the game and they wanted to win their bet.
No, this picture is not edited whatsoever. This is Ariana Grande at her first show of the Eternal Sunshine Tour yesterday in Oakland. And obviously many people are talking about this on social media, but the problem is there are so many fans of hers that are defending her and going at people that are, concerned about this. Saying things like that's body shaming and that we all need to be body positive. But in my opinion, you can only be so body positive. It gets to a point where this is very harmful. And when I first saw this photo, I thought it was edited. A lot of people edited photos of her, during the Wicked press tour. And I thought this was just another case of that. But no, this is 100% real. And here are the dates for the tour. And it goes all the way until September 1st. I'm just concerned she won't have the stamina to get there. Food is fuel for our bodies, and that's why a lot of people are concerned that she might faint at one of these shows. Especially in a concert venue where things get really hot, and if you're moving around a lot, your body temperature is going to go up.
No, this isn't a screenshot from a PS2 game, this is a painting from the 50s. And I'm fully convinced after seeing Alex Colville's artwork that this man was a time traveler. And he time traveled to like 2007, played The Sims on PS2, and went back and painted about it. Because like I said, all these paintings were done in like the 40s and 50s. And Alex was apparently a part of the Canadian Army at the time. I mean, look at this though. It looks just like PlayStation 2 graphics or OG Xbox. Even the splashing in the water, look at the way the water looks. I've never seen other artwork like this either. Like I said, the man was in the military in the 40s and 50s. Maybe he stumbled upon a time machine. Because there's just something about his paintings that seems so digital. I mean, you could use this as a screenshot for an indie game on Steam and assume that this is in the game and not a painting from 1953. Do I have any other proof that this man's a time traveler? No. By God, you could sell me this game. It looks like Red Dead 1, not 2. Go look him up on Google and you can see more of his work. It's crazy.
Oliver Tree was trying to tell us the elites were after him right before his passing, allegedly. Just weeks before his passing, he ended up leaving his record label very publicly as they pulled all support for him, and nobody quite knows why. Listen to what he has to say about his record label and going solo.
Listen to this, y'all. My album is no longer coming out.
They shelved
Love
it.
You Madly, Hate You Badly is officially canceled.
No reason.
Parting ways with Atlantic Records. Behind the scenes has been nothing short of a nightmare.
Says a nightmare.
I had no marketing budgets for music videos, no digital ads.
They pulled
spent.
support.
Nobody really cares in the building, it seems like. I made a lot of money for Atlantic
Who'd
Records.
he make mad?
I seem to remember that.
Made somebody mad. Then as he breaks free, becomes independent, he is just starting his first ever world tour solo, and suddenly he's just gone. Now we have no evidence of this, but many people are screaming foul play and they're saying something doesn't seem right about this. Not to mention in his music and his art, he was calling out the elites a lot. And with all the signs we've seen in his videos that look like he's warning us of what's about to happen, people are saying, is something more going on? What do you guys think?
Watch this video really closely because at first it looks totally normal. A woman is sitting with a group of kids, moving along with them almost like they're playing a game or dancing together. Nothing feels weird when you first see it, but the longer you watch, the more uncomfortable it gets. The kids are laughing and acting natural, but the woman feels completely off. Her face stays tense, her stare looks cold, and it almost seems like she's focused on something nobody else can see. A lot of people said they didn't notice anything strange until the second or third time watching it. But once you catch the way she's looking around, the whole vibe changes instantly. People online started saying she could be some kind of skinwalker, an entity from old legends that can blend in with humans without being noticed. Nobody can prove if this video shows something supernatural or if it's just a creepy coincidence, but one thing is clear. After watching it, you start paying way more attention to every little detail. Tell me what was the first thing you noticed and follow for more disturbing videos like this.
This is day 2 of me trying to convince you that Jeffrey Epstein was performing sex magic rituals to summon entities using the methods of Aleister Crowley. Yesterday, I covered how Epstein was collecting sacred objects from different religious traditions and using them to charge his properties for ritual. The esoteric principle is called the law of contagion, and it basically says that sacred objects absorb the energy of everyone who has ever prayed or channeled energy into them. The first object that he stole was ancient Pueblo petroglyphs near his home, and this is also where 2 women were allegedly buried after rough fetish sex left them dead. The second item he stole was a Catholic funeral bell called the Las Trampas death bell. It was installed in a New Mexico mission church in 1760, and then it was stolen from that church in the 1930s. And it went completely missing until suddenly it ends up at Jeffrey Epstein's ranch. This bell was only ever rung during Catholic funeral masses, so you can imagine the type of spiritual energy that collects on a bell from 170 years worth of grief. The third item was 3 pieces of the kishwa, which is the cloth that covers the most sacred site in all of Islam, the Kaaba. The Kaaba is said to be the first house of worship built by Adam, the first man, and then rebuilt by Abraham. It also houses the black stone, which was given to Adam by the angel Gabriel. Originally, it was pure white, but it has turned completely black because it's absorbed so much sin. The kishwa, which Epstein somehow received, is the black and gold cloth that covers the Kaaba in Mecca. The woman who sent this cloth to Epstein said it had been touched by 10 million Muslims in active prayer. Now, when you put all of this together, Epstein had ritual stones from one of the oldest religions on earth, a death bell only rung for Catholic funerals, and cloth from the holiest site in Islam. The mixing of different religious traditions like this is an esoteric framework. This is how he charged his spaces for ritualistic sex. Tomorrow, I will show you how he used Crowley's exact building plans to construct the temple on his island, and it only gets weirder from here. Subscribe so you don't miss it, or you can check out my full documentary on my YouTube channel.
I don't know what you want, man. Get out of my house. Open this fucking door.
No, or I will fucking end you. Do you understand me?
You're fucked. What? What are you doing? You don't hear that? No.
Fun fact, the noise you hear when you call someone it's just 440 hertz and 480 hertz layered on top of each other. This is 440 hertz and this is 480 hertz. And then you put them together.
Do you remember what happened to this rapper? It's pretty crazy. Now the rapper is XXXTentacion, but people call him X. And X is around 18 when this story starts, and he's living in Florida, and like I said, he's an up-and-coming rapper trying to make a name for himself. The problem is, he's constantly getting into trouble. Like, he has a history of getting into street fights, he was arrested for a home invasion robbery, and so he has to spend some time in juvenile detention. twice. Here's a mugshot, here's another mugshot. But then he gets out, and now he's trying to focus on just his music. So he starts releasing more of his songs on SoundCloud. And there, slowly, he starts building a fan base and even doing smaller live shows. And so one day in 2016, X is performing at a show, and that is when he sees this girl in the crowd, Geneva. And X thinks Geneva is fine, and Geneva thinks X is fine, and after the show, they start talking and they hit it off, and before long, they start dating, and eventually, Geneva moves in with him. And so their relationship is doing well. And the two of them, they're like constantly posting about each other on social media. It's so adorable. But at some point, this relationship starts to fall apart. Because here's the thing about X. He's been dealing with some serious mental health issues for years. He was diagnosed with bipolar disorder when he was young. He's also struggling with depression, and he has anger issues, and sometimes he hears voices in his head, and I'm not sure if that's been properly diagnosed during this time. And a lot of these issues, they start to surface while he's with Geneva. Like, he gets irrationally jealous. I mean, X hates the idea of her giving unnecessary attention to anyone else besides him. Like, one time, I guess she compliments a male friend's jewelry, and he gets mad and he, like, destroys her iPhone over it. Another time, they're in the car, and she's, like, humming along to another artist playing on the stereo system, and this pisses him off, and so when they get home, they get into a big argument over it, and he gets violent, and he starts hitting and punching her. And none of this is a one-time thing. Allegedly, this abuse happens over and over and over again. But then it gets even worse for them. Because at one point, X finds out that Geneva has cheated on him with one of his friends. And if that isn't complicated enough, she then tells him that she's pregnant with his X's baby. Now, whether or not she was actually pregnant, that's the subject of debate, but that's what she tells him. Regardless, X flips the fuck out. And allegedly, he starts beating her and punching her, and he strangles her. And so from here, she gets hurt and she needs medical attention. But X, he doesn't want her going to a hospital because he knows that if hospital staff sees her injuries, there's a chance that they'll alert the police. And he could end up going to prison because, he's already on probation for his previous crimes. So he takes her phone away from her and he locks her in a bedroom and he refuses to let her leave the apartment. And about 2 days go by and he's still got her trapped in there. And so she's looking for any opportunity that she can get to escape. Then, at one point, he gets distracted. And he's like playing Minecraft while simultaneously talking to some people on Skype. And he's so focused on the game that he doesn't notice her sneaking past him and crawling her way out the door. And from there, she contacts police, and police show up, and bam, they arrest him. Here's his mugshot. And so now he's facing charges for false imprisonment and aggravated battery against a pregnant woman. And these are serious charges. So if he's convicted, he'd be looking at multiple years in prison. And even if he somehow avoids prison, this kind of case could destroy his career, one that's just starting to take off. But here's where the story gets really wild. While he's in jail, whoever's handling his social media for him changes the cover art on SoundCloud for his song Look at Me to a picture of his mugshot. And this song starts to blow the f up. And therefore, his mugshot blows the f up. And people on the internet become obsessed with it. They think it looks so cool with his, his half blonde hair. And around the same time, A$AP Rocky posts about him, and then there's like some Drake beef or whatever that's catching traction. And so suddenly, lots and lots of people are searching his name and finding his music. And that is when his streams start shooting up and his fan base grows bigger and bigger. And after 6 months in jail, he finally gets out. And he's still on probation, but now he's no longer just some underground SoundCloud rapper. He's kind of a big deal at this point. And record labels have been approaching him, and he signs a $6 million record contract with Capitol Records, and he releases a new album, and he even starts touring. Then, around the same time, he and Geneva reconcile their relationship, and Geneva decides that she wants the domestic violence charges against him dropped entirely. The problem with that is that Florida state prosecutors, they're not about to drop the charges. I mean, they believe X may have pressured her or influenced her to try and drop them. So instead of dropping the charges, they actually add additional charges of witness tampering. And so the legal battle keeps going. Then in 2018, something interesting happens to him. And I don't know if he just matures or if he realizes that this lifestyle he's in could destroy his music career forever, but he decides that he's done with the kind of chaotic life he was living, and he starts presenting a very different version of himself to the public. Like, he goes on social media now, and he talks about his struggles and about wanting to become a better person, and he encourages his fans to become better people too. Then he starts donating money to charity, and he encourages his supporters to go out and do good things for other people. And so it seems like for the first time in years, it genuinely looks like X is trying to leave the old version of himself behind and that things are looking up for him. Until one day, X decides he wants to buy himself a motorcycle. So he goes to the bank and he withdraws $50,000 in cash and he puts it in a Louis Vuitton bag. Then he drives to a motorcycle dealership. Now, what he doesn't know is that two men at the dealership notice that he's got this nice Louis Vuitton bag and they can see some of the cash peeking out of it. So while they're there, they buy some black neoprene face masks and they go wait outside in their SUV. Now, eventually, X leaves the building and he heads back to his car. But before he can pull out of the parking lot, skirt, an SUV suddenly pulls in front of him, and boom, two men jump out, and they've got guns. And they reach through his window and they try and grab the bag of cash. But X, he refuses to let it go. So he starts struggling with them. And when they realize that he's not going to give him that bag, blam, blam, one of the men shoots X. And unfortunately, he doesn't survive. Then the guys grab the bag and they flee the scene. Later, the police arrive and they begin investigating, and they go through the dealership's security camera footage and they're able to identify one of the two guys who came into the place around the same time as X. And later, they find videos that he had posted on his social media of him waving around a bunch of the stolen cash. And so, bam, they arrest him. Here's his mugshot. Also, bam, they arrest 3 other guys involved in the robbery. Here are their mugshots. And ultimately, 3 of them go to trial and they're found guilty, and they each get sentenced to life in prison. But one guy, he takes a plea deal and he gets 7 years in prison.
Is noticing how deadly this weekend was for all of these adrenaline activities. So on Friday, the Spider-Man of Yemen died, who for context is an extremely experienced free climber. And he happened to make a very rare mistake on a climb that he had done many times before, causing him to fall 400 feet in a volcanic crater to his death. Then on Saturday, the Brazilian woman in her 20s, Maria Eduarda, she died after bungee jumping staff forgot to attach her cord. Then, the very next day, on Sunday, a pilot and 11 passengers who were preparing to skydive died after the plane crashed moments after takeoff, making it one of the most deadly US skydiving incidents in decades. And just to make it even crazier, the same day, Andy Lewis, who's one of the most celebrated figures in extreme sports, he died as well. Reports say that this was following a base jumping accident in Utah. Now, this man was so skilled, he had Guinness World Records. He performed at the halftime Super Bowl show with Madonna. What happened this weekend?
Yeah, chat, like he said, there was a lot of crazy events that happened in the last, like, pretty much week. The Oliver Tree one, the girl got thrown off. I never heard about the Yemen daredevil dude. I mean, that looked pretty crazy. Y'all saw how he was moving across the wall like that?
Looking as the flowers, I sit for hours.
Celebrities showing them true selves.
Telling all the bluebirds, the bill and coo birds.
A Along with Oliver Tree, we now know that Argentine YouTuber Gaspi was also in the Brazilian helicopter accident. Gaspi is best known for street interviews and prank-style videos. He has almost 3 million subscribers, and sadly,
With 9
he's only 23
videos?
years old. The cause of this mid-air collision is still unknown. As we learn more, I'll make an update.
The situation with Oliver Tree was really traumatic. I've also heard that when the helicopter crashed, he was the only body that was unrecognizable. Isn't that crazy? But I don't know how that YouTuber dude had 2.3 million subs. I think it was 2.8 or 2.9 with only 9 videos. For instance, I have posted around like 700 videos, so you know what I'm saying? The luck was on his side.
Reason they teach you to like put your head down in a crash and stuff like that is to make, because if you crash headfirst in an airplane, not only are you for sure gonna die, but just to make sure, like if you're in that position, your spine would shoot through your fucking head. Like it would kill you instantly, right? So the theory is that they have you get in that position to make sure you die. Because the lawsuit, if you survive a commercial plane crash, is like ridiculous.
That's a wild.
It makes sense to me. I get everything's run by money, dude. The whole operation just
Yeah, I've heard about that theory a lot. I've even made videos on it like sometime last year, and I remember we had like a discussion about it in the chat and in the comment section about how a lot of these airplane corporations specifically make you do the bracing position when the plane's about to crash, so it ensures that you die, so then you don't have to sue the company. I've seen other I've seen other people say that that's a complete lie, like that's not true at all. They don't tell you to brace so you die. A lot of people actually show how it could be beneficial to saving you from breaking your neck or snapping your spine and stuff like that. But a lot of people also claim like if they wanted to kill the people so they don't sue them, it wouldn't make a difference because their family members could also sue. So
Nicki Minaj, she's not the one singing. It's actually the voice of Jay-Z. If you grab a Nicki Minaj song and pitch it down, I've got an example. You can actually hear Jay-Z.
Jay-Z's a barb. It sounds a lot like
It's a little eye-opener.
He's being caught out.
Yeah, I heard it a lot, but I've seen a video of them flipping it back, so like Jay-Z to Nicki Minaj, and you can kind of hear it, but it's not as strong because Jay-Z's accent's a little bit like thick for a New Yorker.
Facts about Earth that do not seem real. The Appalachian mountain range is so old, over 1 billion years old, by the way, that they are older than Saturn's rings, which are only 100 million to 400 million years old.
Wow.
And after doing some research about this mountain range, I found something super cool. So the brown parts on this map were all one mountain range at one point, and obviously we know about Pangaea. I hope to God you know about Pangaea. Over the course of hundreds of millions of years, they split apart and the continents moved away from each other. But what is so interesting is that all of the other brown parts across the world also experience weird, cryptid, UFO, and strange phenomenon like people have on the Appalachian Mountains. It could just be because this mountain range is so old, there's been so much folklore, so much history, so many indigenous cultures across this mountain range over the course of years and years and years. But I wonder if people from across the world hear something in the woods and they go, yep, no I didn't.
100%. If I'm in the Appalachian Mountain at like, I don't know, 11 p.m., 9 p.m. in the night, and I hear a sound in the woods, I'm not gonna go check it out. I never understood the people that do that shit, bro. It's like, if you hear a sound, mostly if it's a sound that's unrecognizable, why go check it out? The first thing as a human being I'm thinking is to get away from that area.
We have to talk about water, Victor Schauberger, and copper, because you're not going to believe this. They found out that copper in the 1960s, every single house in America, North America probably, was using copper for their piping in their home.
Yeah.
Around the same time that they started putting fluoride in the water.
Wow.
They changed the building code to use PVC pipes instead of copper pipes. Why? Well, it is said that copper actually neutralizes some percentage of fluoride. Many people think maybe they wanted us getting the full dose of fluoride. But Victor Schauberger was a prisoner of war, or he was in some camp in World War I, and he was near Tartaria. This is his own words. And he found that they had copper in their gardens in the streams that they watered the the plants with, water flowed through copper and was said to increase the yield and growth rate of the plants massively from the Tartarians. And then we have people who are doing electroculture, which is when you jam a copper rod in the ground in your garden, and it is said to harvest etheric energy from the atmosphere and put it into the ground and increase the yield and growth rate of your plants. Let me know your thoughts if you ever heard about copper, because we got to talk more about it. Comment for part 2.
A lot of people claim that copper is really good for you, mostly with magnesium. If you take copper and magnesium, those two pair really well, and it allows the magnesium to get absorbed into your bloodstream a lot easier. So I've always heard that copper is really good for you. I might start taking copper supplements just to see if it makes me feel any more energetic or just better.
Facial recognition goes through these 3 steps to figure out who you are, and if you want to block your privacy in the modern day where facial recognition is absolutely everywhere, you need to know these 3 steps to protect yourself and your family in facial recognition scenarios. Number 1, face search or face detection. Can we figure out if a face is in a picture? If you can stop that, you stop the whole rest of the process. The second thing is core features. We all have eyes, nose, mouth. These are the big core features that facial recognition is going to use to identify you. And if you can block them out, like what we're teaching people to do here at Vader with our sunglasses, you can skip all of these other steps because you're going to push a low confidence score. The third and final thing it's trying to do is then pinpoint deeper into these features right here and position them to you exactly. You see, my eyes and my nose are going to be slightly different and slightly unique compared to your eyes and your nose, which is allowing us to have these blueprints of our faces. If you want to block facial recognition, you need to stop these 3 tasks, and if you stop them very early, your face never gets identified.
Facial recognition can easily see through sunglasses, like easily see through sunglasses. You need like a specific type of sunglasses that just doesn't allow it to see through them. I forgot exactly what type of rays they use or what type of wavelength.
What scientists just found 10 kilometers under the ocean is insane. Guys, stick with me and make sure you share this video. So a group of scientists just traveled over 10 kilometers beneath Earth's surface in the ocean into one of the deepest and most hostile places on Earth. And well, what they found isn't just deep ocean, obviously. This is one of those places where nothing should survive. Places like the Mariana Trench, there shouldn't really be anything. No sunlight, definitely. Near freezing temperatures, and pressure so extreme it would crush things instantly. Now, for years, scientists believed that these deep trenches were basically empty. Just darkness, mud, and the exception of a few very advanced life forms down here that have adapted to live in this condition. But that's pretty much it. But then, researchers have gone down in this deep sea submarine, and they started to see movement. Then, and not the sort of movement like these species that I mentioned before, entire colonies of these species. New species which have never been found before or even seen. Massive fields of tube worms, huge mussels, animals packed together across the sea floor like they were 10 meters under the water, not 10 miles. An entire ecosystem under here which shouldn't have even been possible. And the creepiest part about all of this is scientists think we've explored less of the ocean than we have of our universe of space, which is wild. So if entire ecosystems can stay hidden this long under our ocean, and we've only discovered around 3% of it, what other things are down there to still be found? I'll keep you updated.
A lot. I mean, they said we only know 5% of our own ocean, so I'm assuming there's a lot of things that we haven't seen yet or even like thought about.
Gas is speeding into the black hole, but it overloads, and there's no room for all that excess hot gas. It has nowhere to go but out. It's blasted into space in huge jets of energy. Each jet is 20 times wider than our solar system and shoots clear through the galaxy. The supermassive black hole has ignited a quasar.
Quasars are literally the brightest objects in the universe. They're so intense they can outshine an entire galaxy.
This is a real photograph of a real quasar in the galaxy M87, 50 million light years away. Quasars blast away huge quantities of gas from the surrounding galaxy. The equivalent of 10 Earths every minute.
When you heat up a gas, it tends to expand and it blows outward. And it's sort of like a wind, but on a huge scale. And you get a black hole wind, gas blowing out from the black hole.
Black holes suck gas in. Quasars blow it out. But eventually, there's no gas left to make stars, and the galaxy stops growing.
So we think that the eventual size that a galaxy can achieve depends on the black hole in its center. The two are tied together.
With no gas left to feed on, the quasar jets shrink and die. What's left is a supermassive black hole at the center of the galaxy with a whole lot of young stars, just like our Milky Way back when it was young.
This video of Mark Carney, Prime Minister of Canada, planting a tree hides a disturbing secret. And it's not what everyone in the comments thought. They point out to the fact that it looks like this tree is still in the plastic tub when he puts it in the ground.
Yeah.
But apparently it's some bioplastic that you can put in the ground. It's also not the fact that he is wearing a suit. What person literally in the world other than a politician would ever plant a tree wearing a suit? Also, it's not how performative this whole thing is. Like, look, I'm one of you. I'm doing a bit of yard work and I care about the environment. It's not that either. No, it has nothing to do with the island that some of these people in the background, I don't know who any of them are, but I just know there was a whole lot of things that got released in certain files and they went to some islands and I don't know, but it just seems like a big club that we're all not in. It's not that though. It's that while Mark Carney is planting a tree publicly, pretending to do something about the environment, Canada has some of the widespread aerial spraying campaigns of glyphosate, which is banned in Europe. In Canada, they're flying way out into the sticks, way up north, and spraying vast swaths of land with the most controversial, let's call it, herbicide in known world history. And they're spraying it on lands that no one has barely set foot at all in the last couple hundred years. And all that comes downstream. So while we pretend the environment, the climate, and blah, 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 the forestry industry now is relying heavily on glyphosate to be sprayed, which destroys all the deciduous trees and lets the pine trees grow faster, but compromising their structural integrity. And then you basically have a monoculture of a forest with only one species of trees. All the bugs are not living there, no birds, just trees silently swaying in the wind. It's actually quite eerie. So I see it as a performative, pacifistic thing. Look, I'm planting a tree. Meanwhile, we're poisoning the environment here. What else could you call this? Just like how they're spraying a chemical called 1080 in New Zealand. That's like their version of glyphosate. It's happening all over the world. There seems to be a war on the natural world.
Do you genuinely believe that the Larpamus 2 pod was going 25,000 miles per hour when returning to Earth? And they showed us a visualization of the pod returning. And of course, it reached over 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Totally believable, even though I've never heard of a metal on Earth that can actually survive those temperatures. Not to mention that when the Larpamus pod lands into the water, it creates a very cute shape. Isn't that adorable? Now, could that be a coincidence? It has to be a coincidence. This isn't AI. There is no way on Earth. And what's even weirder is the fact that it was just over 5,000 degrees when returning to Earth, and then when it hits the water, there's no steam, there's nothing. That doesn't even make sense. And when they're getting rescued, look at that shape. It's a hexagon. Now, if you've watched my videos, you know what the hexagon means. So they are symbolically telling us just how intensely they are LARPing. Look, the Larpamus pod was literally blackened from the heat, but it wasn't steaming the water, and they showed us some grainy, low-quality video of them getting saved. I made this video entirely for entertainment purposes.
Y'all really believe Artemis 3 was going 25 miles? 25 miles, whoa. Y'all believe it was really going 25,000 miles per hour? Honestly, I feel like I want to see a demonstration of how fast 25,000 miles per hour is. So I'm gonna see if I can find a video just to demonstrate. So I couldn't really find a video simulating or even referencing how fast 25,000 miles per hour really is. But I found this video right here that showcased what like 7,000 miles per hour would look like on the ground. So apparently, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of like shaky on believing that they really went 25,000 miles per hour. Maybe they did 7,000, 5,000, but 25,000, dude. Let's watch the video.
25,000 miles per hour.
So that's what 6,600 miles per hour looks like. 25,000 miles per hour. That's what he said they did. Did he mean to say 2,500 miles per hour? Because 25,000 miles per hour seems insane. I'm not going to lie.
25,000 miles per hour.
I mean, this one right here, that's G-force. G-force is completely different. That's more just like the changing of directions of like how quickly you can change directions and like how much your body can keep up with it. But like 25,000 miles per hour, I don't know. I don't know about that one. Maybe 2,500. I can see 2,500. I mean, if anyone knows more about that in the comments, you know what I'm saying, just educate us, just let me know. All right, so this is a simulated video of the UPS plane that crashed in Kentucky the other day. So this is a simulated version of what happened. So let's take a look at it. All right, so they try to take off right here. Oh, that's when the engine left. Ooh.
Tank angle, tank angle.
Hold on. Right there, pause. Freeze it. Fire wallet. Take all the man.
Damn, dude. Videos like that are always scary because you know, like, they just had no... Like, they couldn't do anything. There was nothing they could possibly do in that moment to potentially save their life. The most they could have did was probably pull back on the takeoff, like try to land it again, but that's not even possible at the speed that they were going. So like they literally had like no other choice but to just kind of just die.
Diddy is currently going viral, and the exact reason why is truly leaving everyone speechless. Trust me, I am not kidding. If you have not seen, just a little bit ago, someone decided to release, let's just say, not family-friendly pictures and videos of Diddy, and it's being spread all across social media and even here on TikTok. Wow. In the pictures and videos of Diddy, you just see him in ways that you never wanted to probably ever see him before, and you're just seeing him doing things that you just most definitely did not want to see Diddy doing ever.
Did he do it?
At this time, it's currently unknown of who exactly released all these pictures and videos of Diddy doing some not family-friendly things, but I can most definitely guarantee you that Diddy is not happy, and if you're on social media or even here on TikTok, just be aware of those pictures and videos being spread around because there's a good chance they could just pop up on your feed without you wanting to see them. Definitely a very interesting situation, that is for sure, and I'm just curious to know your thoughts about all of this.
Been on air 22 years. I don't get into aliens, metaphysical, religion, any of that. I've studied the elite, and I've also communicated with a lot of the top people, and if you want to know, I will actually break down right now the best knowledge right now what's happening on the planet.
What's happening?
The elite are all about transcendence and living forever and the secrets of the universe, and they want to know all this. Some are good, some are bad, some are a mix. And we're on this planet, and Einstein's physics showed it, Max Planck's physics showed it, all. There's at least 12 dimensions. And now that's why all the top scientists and billionaires are coming out saying it's a false hologram. It is artificial. The computers are scanning it and finding tension points where it's artificially projected and gravity's bleeding in to this universe. That's what they call dark matter. So we're like a thought or a dream that's a wisp in some computer program, some God's mind, whatever. They're proving it all. It's all coming out. Now, there's like this sub-transmission zone below the third dimension that's just turned over to the most horrible things is what it resonates to. And it's trying to get up into the third dimension that's just a basic level consciousness to launch into the next levels. And our species is already way up in the fifth, sixth dimension, consciously, our best people. And the elites themselves believe they're racing using human technology to try to take our best minds and build some type of breakaway civilization where they're going to merge with machines, transcend, and break away from the failed species that is man. And so Google was set up 18, 19 years ago. I knew about this before it was declassified. I'm just saying I have good sources. That they wanted to build a giant artificial system. And Google believes that the first artificial intelligence will be a supercomputer based on the neuron activities of the hive mind of humanity with billions of people wired into it with the Internet of Things. And so all of our thoughts go into it, and we're actually building a computer that has real neurons in real time that's also psychically connected to us so that they will have current prediction powers, future prediction powers, a true crystal ball, But the big secret is, once you have a crystal ball and know the future, you can add stimuli beforehand and make decisions that control the future. And so then it's the end of consciousness and free will for individuals, as we know, and a true hive mind consciousness with an AI jacked into everyone, knowing our hopes and dreams, delivering it to us because we were already wired in and absorbed before we knew it by giving over our consciousness to this system by our daily decisions that it was able to manipulate and control into a larger system. There's now a human counterstrike taking place to shut this off before it gets fully into place and to block these systems and cut off and psychic vampires that are control of this AI system before humanity's destroyed.
So, no, 7 years ago, no one was thinking AI was going to take over civilization.
So you can see why the FBI decided to destroy him, which it did.
I know, like, towards the end, he started to ramble a little bit, started to sound like kind of like off and like what is he talking about? But if I'm being honest, if you really listen and think about what he said, I would not doubt that. I would not sit here and be like, oh yeah, he's just crazy. Like, if you really sit down and think about what he said about them trying to upload consciousness to AI and us merging with AI, how they're seeing through different dimensions and all this type of things, I 100% could see that happening. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh yes, 100% true, but I can 100% see that like being a thing that the government or the elites are potentially trying to work on.
How could anyone fly a 60-ton, 125-foot wide, 44-foot tall plane through this obstacle course?
The aircraft, before striking the Pentagon, reportedly executed a 270-degree downward spiral.
Wow.
And yet Hani Hanyour was known as a terrible pilot who could not safely fly even a small plane.
No seats, no luggage, no bodies. Nothing but bricks and limestone.
The official explanation is that the intense heat from the jet fuel vaporized the entire plane. Flight 77 had 2 Rolls-Royce engines made of steel and titanium alloy and weigh 6 tons each. It is scientifically impossible that 12 tons of steel and titanium was vaporized by jet fuel.
We're also told that the bodies were able to be identified either by their fingerprints or by the DNA. So what kind of fire can vaporize aluminum and tempered steel and yet leave human bodies intact?
From my close-up inspection, there's no evidence of a plane having crashed anywhere near the Pentagon. And as I said, the only pieces left that you can see are small enough that you could pick up in your hand.
Shortly after the strike, government agents picked up debris and carried it off. The entire lawn was covered with dirt and gravel, so that any remaining forensic evidence was literally covered up. The videos from security cameras, which would show what really hit the Pentagon, were immediately confiscated by agents of the FBI, and the Department of Justice has to this day refused to release them. If these videos would prove that the Pentagon was really hit by a 757, most of us would assume the government would release them.
There's a lot of people that believe that there wasn't even any planes during 9/11. Some people believe that it was just missiles. And there's a lot of people that I've heard claim that it's an inside job, a reason for war.
This movie with Mel Gibson is like trolling us. Have a listen to the opening dialogue. This is the beginning of the movie. I can't believe, people at the time just thought this was crazy or funny and entertaining to watch. Little did they know, they're being told something. Check this out.
Of Nobel Prize winners were rounded up by United Nations military units, all right? And actually forced at gunpoint to give semen samples in little plastic jars, which are now stored below Rockefeller Center underneath the ice skating
That's
rink.
weird.
We want to be there for the thaw. It's disgusting. You know what they put in the water, don't you? Fluoride. Yeah.
As I'm drinking water.
On the pretext that it strengthens your teeth. That's ridiculous. You know what this stuff does to you? It actually weakens your will, takes away the capacity for free and creative thought, and makes you a slave to the state. Well, yeah, Oswald, that's what I said, Oswald. Yeah, he said, I'm just a patsy, and that means that he didn't do it, right? George Bush knew what he was saying when he said New World Order. Remember those 3 little words, New World Order? Well, he was a 33rd degree Mason, and as ex-director of the CIA.
Look, I know it's an eerie thought that our reality is completely manipulated and controlled and things are hiding in plain sight, but that's exactly what you're witnessing here. They're telling you what's going on, but they're pitching it to you with the idea of like this kind of kooky conspiracy guy who won't shut up, won't stop talking about all these crazy government things that are going on. But it's even more deeper than that. I know that when I told my dad about the 9/11 symbology in Back to the Future, and I showed him the full video that I made on it, like, hey, look at the 9/11 in the street, and the tower exploded, and then you see the flames, and it shapes like 9/11. It's an eerie thought. Like, he was creeped out. He's like, that's weird. And it is weird. And if you type it into any search engine, what are the odds of this, and that happening in a movie like Snake Eyes with the Charlie Kirk thing? What are the odds of that happening and then that happening in real life? Like that being a coincidence? The odds are like 1 in several trillion. This is part of the plan against humanity to keep us in a lowered state of consciousness so that we're easier to...
I mean, if I'm being honest, there's been a lot of symbology when it came to 9/11. Like, I've been doing this conspiracy TikToks things for a while. A lot of you guys have been with me from the beginning, and I thank you guys for that. Whoever still watches me, from me starting 2-3 years ago to this day, I really appreciate every single one of you, because without y'all, this wouldn't be possible. But from the start of doing this, I've seen so many symbologies. We've seen how they portrayed on the dollar bill. We've seen The Simpsons. We've seen stuff like this movie, and even in like one of Biggie's songs, he said blow up like the World Trade. And I know he's trying to reference the 1993 bombing that happened for one of the World Trade Centers. Even in my opinion, that is still a sort of a symbology.
So what really happened to the singer Aaliyah? And why do people say that this guy is completely responsible for her death? Now, the story starts with this guy, Luis. And
Yeah.
Luis is around 30 when all this begins, and he's living in Florida. But here's the thing about him. He really, really wants to be a commercial pilot. But I guess he doesn't want to put that much effort into it. So he just lies his way through training. He falsifies his logbook to show hundreds of flight hours that he never actually flew. And with these falsified logs, he's able to get his commercial pilot's license. After that, he applies for piloting jobs, and he lies his way through that too. On the job applications, he claims that he has more experience than he really has. And on top of that, the guy starts stealing. He gets caught taking a toolbox of aircraft tools from an aircraft company so that he can sell them for cash. This dude is a mess. But then one day, in 2001, he gets into really big trouble. Because he's out driving through a neighborhood and he runs a stop sign, and so police pull him over. And the officer questioning him is like, "What are you doing in this area?" And for some stupid reason, Luis is like, "Well, I'm gonna be real with you. I'm in the neighborhood to buy some cocaine."
What?
And police are like,
Come on,
"Good
bro."
grief." And they search his car. And right on the front seat, they find crack cocaine. And so, bam, Luis is arrested.
My first thought is like, why be honest with the cops? Like, you know they were gonna arrest you, bro. Like, you might as well just be like, yeah, I was just visiting my mom for the weekend. Like, bro said, yeah, I'm just here to buy some crack. Come on, bro.
And I believe this is his mugshot. And so he goes to court and he pleads no contest to 4 felonies, including drug possession. And Luis, he knows he's fucked. Because if his boss finds out about these drug charges, he'll lose his piloting
100%.
job. And
Once he
even
has a
worse,
pilot?
if the FAA finds out, he'll lose his pilot's license. But then something unexpected happens. The judge in the case is super lenient on him and lets him off with probation, and as long as he keeps consistent employment, no criminal conviction will go on his record. And Luis, he can't believe it. I mean, he's just gotten away with being busted for drugs without his boss or the FAA finding out. And that's incredible. So from here, Luis is able to keep flying. He just has to keep a steady job. But then, 12 days later, he gets a call from work saying, "We need you to fly to the Bahamas and pick up a pop star and her team." Now that pop star happens to be this woman, Aaliyah. And Aaliyah is 22 years old, and she is at the absolute peak of her career. She's just released her self-titled album, Aaliyah, the previous month, with massive success. She's been working with Timbaland and Missy Elliott, so she's pumping out banger after banger, like Try Again and More Than a Woman. I mean, you get it. I'm a fan. And so anyway, Aaliyah is in the Bahamas with her team filming the music video for her next single, Rock the Boat. And filming goes really well. I mean, they actually end up finishing a little early. But then that leads to a problem. they don't have a flight scheduled until the next day. And the record executives want Aaliyah out of there as fast as possible so that she can get right back to work on another different project. And so her people have to rush to make last-minute flight arrangements. And for some reason, either because it's last minute or because they're trying to save on costs, they schedule a flight with a plane significantly smaller than the one that they were originally scheduled to fly on. And so, just 12 days after pleading no contest to drug charges, Luis is hired to fly this tiny charter plane to the Bahamas to pick up this huge pop star and her crew and bring them back to Miami, Florida. Now, while Luis does have his commercial license, he is in no way, shape, or form authorized to fly this specific type of plane, which makes this whole flight entirely illegal. Not to mention, he's also been drinking and doing a little coke. So he is drunk and high. But he isn't going to let any of that stop him. He wants this job. He needs this job. And so Luis gets in his little ass plane and he flies out to the Bahamas. And he lands at the airport where Aaliyah and her team are waiting. And Luis's drunk ass is 2 hours late, and so her team is already all upset at him when he gets there. Okay, but here's the thing about Aaliyah. She already has a huge fear of flying. So when she gets out of the car and sees this rinky-dink, small-ass Hot Wheels-sized plane, she's like, oh, hell no, there is no way I'm getting on that thing. She would rather just wait a day and use the bigger plane that they have coming tomorrow. But Aaliyah's team, they push back. They tell her, you're scheduled to be in Miami tonight. People will get fired if you're not there. Okay, but then it gets worse. Because then the baggage handlers start loading up all the luggage, piling up the plane with boxes and boxes of super heavy equipment from the video shoot that they just did. You know, like cameras and lighting rigs and gear cases, and that's on top of all their personal luggage. And even Luis's drunken high ass himself is like, I think all this equipment is too heavy for a plane this size. And the baggage handlers are also like, you know, he's right. You can't take all this stuff. It's dangerous. And this starts a huge argument with members of Aaliyah's team. Like, this is important equipment and we already paid for this flight. But Aaliyah, she has more common sense. She's like, I think they're right. The plane is too small. I'm not getting on. Then, I guess she's tired of the arguing because she says, I got a headache. I have to go lay down. And she goes back to the van to lay down while her team continues to argue. After that, someone on her team, we don't know who, knocks on the car window and is like, here, take this for your headache. And he hands Aaliyah a little pill. Now, to this day, we don't know what the pill was, but it's suspected to have been a powerful sedative.
Yep,
because
definitely.
After she takes it, Aaliyah quickly passes out. So much so that members of her...
Bro, no way. Aaliyah died because they literally seduced her and forced her on a plane that eventually took her life. Oh my God.
Team have to carry her from the car onto the plane, clearly without her knowledge and without her consent.
Wow.
So now everyone is on board the flight and they're all ready to go. And so now Luis has a decision to make. If he loses his job, he'll violate his probation, then he'll be convicted of those drug charges and lose his pilot's license. But Aaliyah's team is being super pushy. But to be fair to them, they have no idea that this flight is illegal. No idea that they're putting their lives into the hands of a pilot who's unqualified, on coke, and shouldn't even have a pilot's license to begin with. But none of that is the worst of it, because then Luis screws up big time. As the pilot, it's his responsibility to make sure the weight of the plane is safe.
Yeah.
So he needs to weigh the luggage and then do the proper weight and balance calculations. And if the plane
Let me
is
guess, he didn't do
overweight,
it.
he legally must refuse to fly. All of their lives depend on this. But of course, that's not what he does. Instead, he gets into the pilot's seat and he starts the engine.
Wow.
And so now 9 people are accelerating down the runway on this tiny little plane that's almost 1,000 pounds overweight and completely off balance. These guys have no chance of making it. And so the plane takes off and it climbs to about 200 feet into the air. And then suddenly, boom, it rolls hard to the left. And Luis completely loses control. and the plane takes a nosedive and it plummets straight down faster and faster, and then kaboom, it crashes. And tragically, everyone on board, all 9 passengers, including Aaliyah and Luis, are all killed. Here is a picture of the wreckage.
That to this day, I mean, I don't know if she woke up when the plane did the hard roll. I would assume that she would, but it depends on the sedative that they gave her, because some of these sedatives are super strong. You could like shake the person and they wouldn't even feel it. They'll just be there, just like, you know what I'm saying? So to this day, she probably didn't even know she's dead. She probably just fell asleep and just never woke up. Kind of like the Michael Jackson death, where he just fell asleep and pretty much never woke up. But in my opinion, that's tragic. If any of those dudes that forced her into that plane survived, I would have had to say they would have at least gotten like some jail time, because that was crazy, dude. I've also seen another video talk about another pilot that flew commercial flights, like everyday flights that me and you would take, and he wasn't qualified at all. I'm gonna see if I can put it into the video before I end it out for y'all, but appreciate you for watching. Shout out my day ones, shout out my channel members. Remember, you guys can pre-order merch. I'm gonna be making more collections, so this is not gonna be the first one. And let me know what you guys think. See you later, famity.
This pilot had a 27-year career, and we are alleging that since 2009 has been flying for years, misrepresenting himself and his credentials to his employer and regulatory officials using fraudulent licensing documents.
What they are alleging is that Jeff Wall, who they have now named, had been flying Air Canada jets for a number of years without the appropriate license. It's not that he didn't have a pilot's license, it's that he did not have the particular designation which would allow you to captain an aircraft. He was supposed to have this license called an Airline Transport Pilot License, also referred to as an ATPL. And what they are alleging is that he did not have that.
This is very similar to a doctor that is licensed to practice family medicine but is doing brain surgery in their office. There's additional requirements and regulations to professional designations that exist for a reason.
He has been with the airline for his entire career, going back to 1998. They say that in that time, and in particular, starting in 2009, when he should have been in possession of this particular designation, that he has flown thousands of passengers, collected millions of dollars worth of salary because of the fact that the airline had been paying him as if he were a captain, and that he flew both domestically and internationally. Immediately upon Air Canada's discovery of this, the individual was removed from active duty, and the company voluntarily reported the matter to Transport Canada. Air Canada has said that passenger safety was not necessarily compromised, and what we heard from that police official was that because it means that this individual is alleged to have not been flying with proper documentation, that he does view that as a potential safety issue.
What's up, fam? I just want to make some announcements. I've reached over 105 channel members, which is crazy. Also have another announcement. I'm dropping my own clothing brand. Like, this is not YouTube specific. This is its own brand that I am dropping, that I have on right now. It's called Noralumin. You see, it doesn't kind of like print in on your body. It's not tight. This is like a large. I'd say I'm a pretty big dude. The official drop is coming sometime next month. You guys can place your pre-orders now. They're very high quality. This has been washed like over 5 times. Like, I got this shirt 5 weeks ago, and every week I try to wash it just to make sure it doesn't peel or nothing like that. And it fits super comfortably. The arms aren't tight. The whole body isn't tight. It is an oversized fit, but you don't have to size down for it to fit good on you. If you naturally fit a small, it's still gonna fit you like a normal shirt, but kind of have like the oversized arms and like not hugging your body too much, you know what I'm saying? So people like me that have like kind of like man boobs, you know what I'm saying, it's not gonna show. Like, the man boobs aren't, you know what I'm saying? Like, look at that. You can't see anything, bro. I promise you, this is one of the best quality shirts I've ever worn. So the drop is coming out soon, chat. Make sure to look out for that. I promise you, anyone that gets this shirt will love it. Like, I promise you. Like, I put my heart and soul into this brand, so it's not just a YouTube brand. This brand is going to be bigger than just YouTube.